victimize residents devastated by both of the recent hurricanes, Helene and Milton. As we know, many communities in Pinellas County have suffered devastating damage from these back-to-back hurricanes. And for all of law enforcement throughout Pinellas County, our number one priority from the time these storms formed in the Gulf of Mexico has been the safety and the security of our residents, our businesses, and our guests. And our effort at protecting the community has not stopped after the hurricane's direct impact. As we announced 2 weeks ago in Madeira Beach, that our current focus is on protecting our residents and businesses who are desperate to rebuild and get on with their lives from being exploited and ripped off by people offering to do work on their property, but in some cases have absolutely no intention of doing the work. In other cases are unqualified to do the work, and in all the cases are unlicensed to do the work. Now, we see this way too often in storm-devastated communities where people, most from out of town, come in after a hurricane, they solicit work, they get down payments to secure a place in line, and never do the work, they never complete the work, or they do shoddy work that doesn't meet code and has to be redone. These people are simply scammers and thieves, and really no different than people that are running around in neighborhoods at 3 o'clock in the morning breaking into homes. Now, after these unlicensed people rip off consumers, we unfortunately and way too often get inundated with theft and scheme to defraud cases where we have to investigate these supposed contractors who have double victimized these vulnerable people who are simply trying to get on with their lives. Now, indeed, and you'll hear a little bit about it from Chief Gandy, but the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office and the Clearwater Police Department have received complaints of people being scammed by these unlicensed and unscrupulous contractors during the last few weeks. So to try and curb some of that illegal activity by those who simply want to rip off others, for the past 2 days, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office and the Clearwater Police Department, along with Pinellas County Consumer Protection, Pinellas County Construction Licensing Board, the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the Florida Department of Financial Services, and the State Attorney's Office for the 6th Judicial Circuit of Florida have been conducting an undercover, unlicensed contractor operation here in Clearwater, and more specifically focused on Clearwater Beach. We've had teams of undercover detectives from both the Clearwater Police Department and the Sheriff's Office at various locations who were visited by people who held themselves out to be licensed contractors able and qualified to do plumbing, electrical, air conditioning, roofing, and other structural work. Since yesterday, we've arrested many people. And as you can see here on the boards behind me and to the side of me, they say that we've arrested 32 people on about 44 different charges. Well, if you will, the hot off the press number, because they're continuing to get updated because the operation's ongoing. Right now we're at 38 people, and by the time we're done we'll be well over 40. But again, what the numbers here on these boards show is we arrested 32 people on about 44 different charges and for engaging in unlicensed contracting in violation of Florida law. And because the community is still under a state of emergency issued by the governor, all of these are felonies under Florida statute 489.127. Now, when we talk about licensing and the reason for licensing, there's a very, very good reason why Florida law requires that people who do significant and complex work, like electrical work and plumbing, that they be licensed. It shows they have the proper education, the proper training, and they've demonstrated the skills necessary to do that work. Licensing also ensures accountability and gives citizens confidence that the work will be done properly and that they won't get ripped off. During this undercover investigation, unlicensed people offered to do over 15 different types of construction projects, totaling well over $100,000 worth of work. And as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, the people who generally are coming into our communities and that are doing this and committing this crime are people from outside the area. And as it bared itself out a couple weeks ago in Madeira Beach, it bears itself out here again during this operation, because 25 of the people who we arrested over the last 2 days, like many of the others, as I said in Madeira Beach, are from outside of Pinellas County. So the majority of them, they're not even from here. They're coming in from outside the area to exploit our residents and our businesses. Now also, and I mentioned this a little bit in Madeira Beach, but we're seeing the same thing here, at least 6 of these people are here in the United States illegally, with one, and you'll see his name up here on the board, Nicholas Ortiz. He's here doing this, engaged in these crimes and this unlicensed activity, ripping people off, and he's currently under is they call it removal proceedings, which is deportation proceedings. So more importantly, though, I'd say many of these people, they have extensive criminal histories for crimes like robbery, theft, burglary, drug trafficking, and really other crimes showing that they're just thieves looking to prey on these vulnerable people who are hurting and don't need to be double victimized. A few examples, and people are on these boards, and what you see here on these boards, the people here on your right are people that were arrested yesterday, and we don't have the mugshots for the people over here, and again, these numbers are increased from when these boards were printed just a couple of hours ago. But one of the people from yesterday is Sergio Triana Moran, who came to our county from Tampa to do construction work. He's unlicensed and has been previously arrested for grand theft, aggravated battery, armed robbery, drug trafficking, resisting arrest, trespassing, and obstruction by false information. Another one that was arrested yesterday is Alan Brooks. He's from Pasco County, who offered to do unlicensed contracting, and he's previously been arrested for dealing in stolen property, grand theft, assault and battery, and fleeing and eluding. And then from St. Petersburg, there's Alexander Early, who offered to do unlicensed work, and his criminal arrest record involves crimes of robbery, theft, open lewdness, fraud, and battery. The licensing process matters because it involves a criminal history check, and whether someone has a criminal history is a factor in whether they're issued a license. So by engaging in this unlicensed contracting, these felons avoid the whole vetting process that licensing provides and the assurances it brings to consumers as to who they're bringing into their homes and businesses to do this important work. So we, in the law enforcement community throughout Pinellas County, are going to continue to do all we can to protect our residents, our guests, and our businesses from people looking to steal from them and rip them off during their most vulnerable times. People need to be able to rebuild, restore their lives, and we're going to do all we can to help them do that without being double victimized as hurricane victims and victims of scammers and thieves. So the message is, don't come to Pinellas County in these storm-ravaged communities, and don't prey on people trying to recover, and if you do, you're going to go to jail. So I'll turn it over to Chief Gandy for some comments, and then we'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you, Sheriff. So, since these storms arrived, we all saw a variety of handwritten signs go up in the medians, advertising signs, vehicles with signs on the side of them offering to provide services. Unfortunately, some of those folks are here to provide services they're not licensed to provide. They're taking advantage of people in their most desperate time who are just trying to get back in their homes. So after the storms, we posted an electronic message board out on Memorial Causeway for everybody to see. Anyone who drives out there sees a sign that says, don't hire unlicensed contractors or hire licensed contractors. The county has signs indicating don't hire unlicensed contractors all over the place. Any of the affected areas have this signage. You can go out there for yourselves and see it. So those were put there for several purposes: to message our community to hire licensed contractors to protect themselves, and to message these unlicensed folks that they can't be out here doing this. So after the sheriff and the sheriff's office conducted the first operation in Madeira Beach, we had several conversations about partnering in an operation up here in Clearwater based on what our troops were seeing in the field. We were seeing the trucks with out-of-state tags with the equipment in them. We knew that we were going to have a problem here. Ironically, while we were planning this operation, we got a call last week, and it involved a citizen who realized they had hired an unlicensed contractor to do $200,000 worth of work. They contacted us, we intervened, made contact, and in fact, this individual was not licensed to do most of the work they were there and purported to be able to do. So the problem, the prevalence is there. We noticed it, we saw the indicators, we had this big case, and the advantage for us is to be able to partner with the sheriff's office in this because they've been doing this for many years and have a lot of experience at it. We wanted to leverage that responsibility and provide our own resources here in our community to help make this a bigger and better operation. And based on what the sheriff said and what we have behind us, I believe that has been quite successful. So, you know, we haven't had this kind of storm damage here in Clearwater previously. It, in some instances, was catastrophic. These houses were completely destroyed, infiltrated with water, and, you know, we're just here to make sure that our citizens don't take another hit from an unlicensed contractor. So, thank you, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody got anything you want to ask?
Are these people being aggressive towards homeowners? I mean, homeowners are desperate to get their stuff fixed and stuff like that. Are they being more aggressive as maybe a red flag?
Yeah, some of them are. You know, some of them actually, when the undercover detectives are at these houses, some of them are walking up and just out of the blue offering to do services. Some of them have, and I showed in the last press conference, I showed some of the cards that they have and some of the, I'll call them brochures and some of the markings. I didn't put them up here today, but it's, I mean, yeah, they're being aggressive. It's kind of shoddy. They're out there, and again, they're driving up and down. What we're seeing too, and the chief mentioned it, and I think we're seeing it not only in Clearwater, but up and down the Gulf beaches. A lot of these people are here. When the out-of-state tags, they're actually fraudulent tags from Colorado and from Texas and from Louisiana. And they're just waiting to see these people, and then they'll just go up, knock on the door. Hey, I'm here to do work. And again, a lot of these people are desperate because they're so vulnerable, because they just want their stuff fixed. And, you know, unfortunately, you know the adage, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. There was one of these guys yesterday in this operation that came to do some work, and they were negotiating. And the original negotiation was the guy said, oh, I'll do this work for $35,000. And they said, whoa, oh, okay, I'll do it for $3,000. I mean, you know, so it's, they have no intention of doing the work, okay? They're just going to rip them off.
What's been the reaction for homeowners that you all have helped when they realize that they've been scammed, or they realize they, like you said, they were about to get hit again in the middle of attachment prices?
Well, most of them are just devastated, you know, and they feel bad, of course. You imagine, you know, people are going to feel embarrassed by this. They know better, but they're so desperate to get the stuff done and get the work done and get it done as quickly as possible because they want to get back in their homes. So I'd say, you know, the general reaction is that they're like, oh, you know, we know better, but we're so desperate to get this done. They feel victim to it. They really are. And that's why I say that people are so vulnerable, and then they're double victimized. And of course, you know, there's that level of embarrassment too. So, you know, we got to feel for all these people for so many reasons. And that's why we're going to keep doing this. And, you know, we're not going to stop it. I get that. But we can keep doing it and send a message and take as many of these people off the street as we possibly can just to keep people from being in that situation.
Sheriff, in these cases here, were there any examples where these unlicensed contractors took down payment and then left or did shoddy work?
Yeah, I think in the, you know, the chief was talking about it. You want to talk more about that one case? I mean, there are plenty of them, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so in that particular case, I believe the down payment was $25,000. So the homeowner was out of state, is my understanding. They paid this person $25,000. They began doing the work that they were not licensed to do. And, you know, it could have been a result, and I'm not sure, I haven't read the total case file, but it could have been a result of the publicity related to the prior operation that made them think to ask the question. And I think that's really important because they take advantage of people that are desperate. You know, getting workers and getting contractors, it's difficult because everyone needs them right now. And what happens is they get somebody and they say, hey, we will do the work. What the uneducated homeowner doesn't realize is that could prohibit them from getting insurance in the future, prohibit them from selling the home when someone does a title search and finds that, well, there's all this work that's been done, but there's no record of it. There's no permits pulled. So that's why it's so important. And money, in these ops, obviously, money's not changing hands, but the victims that we come across, money does change hands.
So in that case, the unlicensed contractor took the $25,000 and went dark?
No, they didn't go dark. They were working, but working on things they weren't permitted to work on.
So people know, I'm sorry if this was mentioned, is there an easy way in Pinellas County or Clearwater for them to check? What's the website for them to check if their contractor's licensed?
Yeah, you can go to, and we can get that information so y'all can put it out, but you can go to the Pinellas County Construction Licensing Board, also the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations website, and you go in and check and see if people are. Another way you can too is that we find this where these people have these what are called LLCs or limited liability companies, or they'll say INC for incorporated on it, and they're not. And you can go to the Florida Secretary of State's office and run all of those names and run the people and see if they're a legit corporation. Because that's also really important too, not only being licensed, but when they say they're incorporated and they're not, because when they're incorporated, it gives people a level of assurance that there's something there to back them up. It's a legit company. So all of those are places they can check to verify.
Great, yeah, I wanna make sure people know.
Sure, absolutely.
Make sure.
No, it's good stuff, yeah.
Jared, what do you say to people who are doing this type of fraudulent activity? What do you say to them if they're thinking, no, I'm still gonna pull up, I'm still gonna see if I can get my buck down there?
You're going to go to jail. You know, I mean, you know, it's so frustrating. You know, what I say to them is, you know, I guess really, you know, it's all about you. What about these poor people that lost everything, that had all their stuff sitting in their front yard, everything from their couches to their stoves to their TVs to their personal belongings and clothes and couches and everything else. All that debris got hauled away. And now they're trying to rebuild in these houses. They got nothing. And you're here and you're going to rip them off? And, you know, you're going to come in and, like I said, there's plenty of examples and plenty of it. I can give you tons of them. You know, you just go, oh, well, you know, $35,000. Oh, no, I'll do it for $3,000. That guy has no intention of doing any work. Just give me the money and I'm going to take off. And so, you know, they really are praying. And, you know, what I say to them is that we're going to be here and we're going to be around. And for those that want to keep doing it, is we're going to put your tail end in jail.
Chip, is there a bigger story behind the sign that's over there to your left?
You know, just of what it is, you know, I mean, and this guy, and so that particular guy, so he was out there and he says he's doing cleanup and drywall. But what he actually was arrested for is doing electrical work. You know, and doing electrical work's a big deal. You're going to burn something down. He has no business doing electrical work and the other projects that he was doing. So he's got this sign on the side of his truck, you know, cleanup and drywall removal. Well, he wasn't doing cleanup and drywall removal. He was engaging in very, very specific skilled trade of electrical work and some others that you got to be licensed for a reason. You know, and the other thing that I would say, and you know, I didn't talk about it and we haven't mentioned it, but this is also so unfair to the legitimate contractors who are out there who are licensed, who have demonstrated the proficiencies and the skills and jumped through the hoops, and they're getting business taken away from them. So it's not fair as well. But this guy is he throws this thing on the side of his car, says he's doing cleanup and drywall. Of course, there's nothing on it with licenses or anything else, and he shows up and he's going to be an electrician. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
The undercover operation, did your undercover detectives put out messages for quotes, or how exactly did that?
All the above. You know, we had, like I said, we had people walking up, all the signs that Clearwater had out here. We were writing down phone numbers. We had undercovers making phone calls. We're setting up appointments. We see ads in different places. You know, it's really, you know, as they would say, you know, unfortunately, it's shooting fish in a barrel. There's so much of it out there, it's not hard. I think in this operation going into yesterday when we started, for the number of phone numbers that we had and people to contact to set up appointments, I think we had well over 120. So, you know, and the last one down at Madeira Beach, I think we had well over 200. So finding the numbers and finding the people that are out there engaged in this is one of those things, if we had the time and the resources, we could just keep this going perpetually, you know, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, and we'd probably get as many as we're getting, you know, every day, because there's so much of it going on out there.
Are you seeing repeat offenders?
So far, we haven't. Now, to take that back, now, in this respect, not in our operation we haven't, but we are arresting people, and we have seen people that we've arrested in these operations for unlicensed contracting that have previously been arrested for unlicensed contracting. But we haven't had somebody come back. Remember, you know, we did the one in Madeira Beach, we did the one here, so not a lot of opportunity so far for that.
Have you seen anything to this degree in the past, this many people out there doing this?
No, this is so unprecedented. You know, as these storms, especially Helene, is unprecedented for Pinellas County. This type of unlicensed contracting, the volume of it, the magnitude, people from outside the area, all the illegals that are here, and all of what's going on, we have never, okay, in Pinellas County seen anything like this before. This is totally uncharted.
Is there a particular area in Clearwater where y'all are seeing this concentrated more than others?
So it's where the areas that were most affected, obviously. I mean, it's easy for them to post their signs and patrol the areas that they see mountains of people's belongings on the side of the road. So it's really easy for these folks to find their victims, if you will. And I think what the sheriff mentioned, that what we haven't seen, there's always this unlicensed contracting going on here locally. But what struck me in the times that I was out there was the frequency I came across out-of-state tags. Every day, multiple out-of-state tags with trucks that look to be performing trades of some type. So, that is the difference, is that everyone gravitated to the area knowing, and then all they have to do is drive around and look where the debris fields are and look where the devastation is, and they don't have to go very far. And that's where we found all the signage for the most part. And ironically, you would find one of these handwritten signs, "We'll do drywall or cleanup," next to one of the county signs saying, "Hire licensed contractors." So it certainly, the signage and the messaging doesn't dissuade anyone, and they're still coming from out of state for that purpose.
I know the DPPR website is out there for people, but for people who aren't as tech savvy, if they're confused, can they call your agencies if they're supposing that someone they're talking to might be unlicensed?
Well, yeah, I mean, they should probably really call, and you can call the Pinellas County Construction Licensing Board as well. We don't have access and direct access to those databases where we could, give it out to the public. So they really shouldn't call to verify whether somebody's licensed. But one of the things, ask them what their license number is. Ask them for it. It has to be, and by ordinance, it's got to be, if they have a sign on their truck, unlike this, whatever, there's no license number on there. So if you see something like that, and it doesn't have a license number on it, doesn't have any other information, it doesn't say that it's an entity, it's an LLC, it's incorporated. You see that, you can very easily go on the Secretary of State's website. But to your point, is they can call the Construction Licensing Board, and that would be a good place to start. All right, thanks everybody, we appreciate it. Thank you.